All right, welcome to the show. Welcome back. There he is. He's a friend. He's a rock star, and he's even Canadian. Look at him. How adorable.
I was just thinking about how all the fruit in that music video, and it's like hundreds of dollars of fruit. I was really excited to take it all home and eat it because, of course, I have no money, but it was all covered in fucking sand.
How do you? I hear you, man. But you know, this is the life of a rock star. Sometimes you eat sand. Sometimes you dine in the finest restaurants in the world.
Sometimes you say, "Fuck this shit, I'm going to Duff's."
Yeah, exactly. In Brooklyn, you know, that has to be done. But I had to have you back. So Daniel, obviously the guitar player in the band Diemonds, who I'm a huge fan of. He plays in the Canadian power trio Exciter, nice. Which has been an ongoing gig with him the last couple years, which I'm very happy for him because that's one of his childhood favorites. But I brought you on today. Now, this guy, let me tell you something. When I need a question answered about music, this is one of my go-to guys. But he really knows a lot about what they would consider the hair metal.
Well, look at his glorious hair. Of course he does.
That's all natural.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not all natural. I put on the special wig for you today.
Okay, yeah, it's like Paul Stanley. He has the rehearsal wig and then the show wig.
Yeah, and then mix those up. Instagram selfie wig. You wouldn't want to mix those up. They're very important ones.
But Daniel really knows the hair metal genre, so I had to have him specifically back because I saw this article about, and let's start this way. By addressing the term hair metal. Now, does that offend some people? Like my former metal show co-host, Eddie Trunk, he's very offended by that term. He thinks it's degrading to that era of music. I see where he's coming from, but it doesn't really... I'm sort of in the middle. It doesn't really bum me out, but I kind of get, I mean...
Why did you think it was degrading? Why?
Because I think it's by saying it's hair metal is more about...
The hair and not
the hair and the
music.
Look.
Okay.
Because, you know, a lot of these bands that got roped in there, like Winger and bands like that, these are master musicians in real life. So, Daniel, what about you? What's your take on that?
Yeah, man, the name thing doesn't really offend me. I know like sleaze, glam, and hair get tossed around in that world a lot, and some people are like, "Oh, those are fashion statements, not musical statements." But like, I don't know. I've heard Eddie rant about it before. It doesn't affect me personally. It doesn't offend me personally, I should say, in any way, shape, or form. Like if someone says hair metal or sleaze metal, I know exactly what they're talking about, and I vibe with that.
Yeah, because for me, I just think like if you say hair metal, it invokes a certain group of bands, and so you immediately go to that era. So that's why it doesn't bother me, but it does marginalize the talent of these bands. I get
when you first mentioned it to me, the immediate thing I thought of was like, oh, bands with really awesome hair. That was the first thought I had. It wasn't like, oh, their music sucks. Like, no.
Just like any genre, like the image of that particular genre always goes way over the top, and then it usually kind of collapses on itself, which is what happened when grunge came in. It was like, you know, the hair was like 40 feet high at some point, and maybe, yes, it did start to take over more than the musicianship, because record companies were just trying to capitalize on that look and the aesthetic. But also look at that time, Daniel, look at that time in music history, which was MTV. So you weren't just influencing musical trends, you were influencing fashion trends at the same time.
Right. Rock stars were ubiquitous with everyone and everything in every form of life.
Ooh, you just used an SET word. Ubiquitous.
Yeah, I try and use words with more than 4 letters. I say fuck a lot, so I try and counterbalance it. Yeah, I think that like in general, it's actually a really good observation, Don, is the influence that music had, not just on the musical level, but the fashion level and just like social interactions, the way people drank and the way they partied. Being a rock star used to be a totally... They're the original influencers, man. That's the thing. And they don't have that type of effect anymore. Music doesn't affect people's life the same way anymore. It's very weird. Rock stars are not ubiquitous like they used to be.
That's right. It's good enough word to use twice. and that's why bands like Tesla got lost in the shuffle back then, because they were just a straight ahead American rock band. Not quite as good or as big as Aerosmith, but they didn't fit in with Poison.
Right.
Right. So that was one of those times, because you were going to be played on MTV. That's why Cinderella, they got roped into the hair metal world, and they teased the hair up on the first album, but they weren't. If you listen to it, they're just gritty, blues-based hard rock band. But you had to fit somewhere. So that's the genre. And tons of bands with very little talent got signed. But yet there were a lot of these bands that were actually great, had a great image, that should have been bigger. And I saw this article on loudersound.com. And I want to run some of these by Daniel and you and see what your thoughts were. So, and then if you guys could play, post up maybe the video in the corner for a few seconds on each of these. So now the first band we'll talk about is a band called Tease. Teez.
Oh my gosh, look at that photo.
So
it's incredible.
Right. So it seems ridiculous right off the bat, right?
It's amazing.
But yet, look, they wore more makeup than Twisted Sister, but yet they say music-wise, it was a collision between the sharp metal hooks of Rat's first EP, the skills of Randy Rhoads' era Quiet Riot, Wasp's Outrageousness, and Crew's Finest Moments. Were these guys ever on your radar, Daniel?
Yeah, of course. Tease, Looking for Action, 1984. Fucking great record. The singer's name is Luis Rivera, and he is an absolute Vince Neil clone. Even the way he enunciates things, like the certain pitches he hits, like absolutely Vince Neil clone.
Yeah, you could kind of hear that, right?
For like 84, man, this band's pretty heavy, and like what I like to say, we're talking about how there's the blues bands and there's like the more hair metal bands versus the rockin' bands. This band was that sleazy sound. This is like pretty sleazy sounding rock and roll for 1984. I really like this record.
They almost look like Lizzie Borden. That's who they remind me of.
The look is not memorable. That's the issue. Is like it's kind of lackluster. I see what they're trying to go for, but like it doesn't. It's not as bombastic as it should be to like just kind of looks stupid.
Yeah, and the name really takes them down a few notches right away. I know that a lot of bands are going for that thing where they change a letter in there and they try to make it seem glamorous, but they have no dreamboat in the band. Like every guy looks like Vinnie Vincent. It's not, there's nothing really to grasp on to there. But let's put the music up a little bit just for the next. Let's listen to a little. Sounds like it's got some groove to it, Yeah, very, very Vince Neil, Motley Crue.
They do have a Motley Crue sound.
So Tease,
I like them.
So whatever happened to Tease, we don't know, but
we don't know where they are today.
They made the list of 10 hair bands that should have been huge. Now the next one is a band. Now I wasn't familiar with Tease. This band I know because they were featured in Penelope Spheeris's film Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years, and there's been actually some very famous members who have come through the band London. Daniel?
Yeah, of course. It's Nikki Sixx's original band. He was a founding member.
Was he Frank Ferrano still, or was he Nikki Sixx when he was in London?
I'm not sure what he went by. He's OG though. I mean, a lot of cool people came through the band. Nikki's in the band when it forms though. Public Enemy #1 is a London song. Really, it was like co-written by the guitar player from this band for this band and was just never used.
And they say these guys were the eternal losers. They never got beyond the 3 blocks around Gazzari's.
I love that.
But Blackie Lawless from Wasp had been in the band. Izzy Stradlin from Guns. Fred Coury from Cinderella. They've all passed through the ranks. But yeah, I think their high point was being in Penelope's great documentary. You've seen that one with Chris Holmes from Wasp in the pool drinking the vodka. They were heavily featured in that film, but then
they're like the rock stars in training or whatever was the line.
Yeah. So before Frank Ferrano really became Nikki Sixx and put Motley Crue together. So let's listen to a little of that.
Yeah.
To stand the trial of the Lady of Black, I'm just another
So pretty kind of, I mean, we only listened to a few seconds, but kind of generic sounding, you know. Not quite there yet.
No, and it's like 86 already when this comes out, so it's like you weren't allowed to be generic anymore. There was already so much cool shit going on.
Yeah.
This band,
I like the wolf on their cover art though. That was
the best part of the
band. That's the best part of the wolf.
The interesting thing about some of the bands that are coming up here is like should have been huge. Like this band was on Noise and was on Shrapnel, like had major record deals. Like in my opinion, the bands that get those opportunities and can't turn it into success, like that was their shot. Like this band got a huge push. I find it funny that they're on this list of bands that should have been huge. Like that's a dollar. Every dollar bin in the world has that record in it. There's like 1 million copies of it.
Well, but of course. So even when all worlds collide perfectly, the one thing we can always count on is that rock guys and comedians are completely self-destructive. So you can have everything working in your favor and somebody will F it up. At least when you're a comic, you can only ruin your own career.
Right.
If you're in a band, all you need is one asshole to take down
absolutely
the whole thing. A band that's still going in various lineup versions, who I actually liked from back in the day, is the band called Jetboy. Who are big on the Sunset Strip, but they're actually a Bay Area band. And put up some Jetboy here. Let's take a little listen.
I like them. Look at that hair.
So, you know, an AC/DC kind of meets, you know, Hanoi Rocks kind of vibe to this. Daniel, were you ever into these guys?
Yeah, dude, Jetboy's awesome. Like the bluesy punk rock vibe. I love it. Like we can be playing blues licks and slide guitar, but still have, you know, the mohawk and the leather jacket.
I love
really
the
like
mohawk. Love the mohawk.
Come on, who doesn't love the mohawk? Let's be real.
And you don't see that today, right? We don't see that with artists today.
Much.
There was that one band, the Scandinavian band, Savage Playground, with their the singer had a blue mohawk. But yeah, you're right, not enough mohawks today.
So yeah, that's
Daniel, maybe we'll get you to do one.
Yeah, the curly mohawk.
You think a curly mohawk would work?
I don't know, it could work. No.
Let's do it.
Why not?
I'm on my way over. Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the next band. Now, again, some of these bands, by virtue of the name, I think, again, like Tease, like I remember that era. If I see a band like Tease, I dismissed them right away because that's a little too corny. This is a band that is actually good, but again, the name, they're called the Hags, and you sort of go, all right, I watched Popeye when I was a kid. You know, it's another band from the Bay Area that kind of did the Sunset Strip thing. There we go. Rockin', you know. I'd put this firmly in the sleaze rock category, Daniel. What do you think?
Yeah, big time. There's like nothing gypsy rock and roll about this. This is like sleaze rock as fuck. This record's great, by the way. This self-titled Hags album is fucking awesome. I love this. This has been like one of my more weird, like deep cut hair metal records that has been in my collection for years and years and years. Love this band. It's like it's a huge production too. It's like Geffen, Mike Klink, like, you know, Appetite's out. Everyone's losing their shit about that. Like everyone's trying to be this huge, big budget rock and roll band, and I think this record could have been amazing. Could have been huge. There's a song from it. It's on the Elm Street soundtrack too. Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Right. So this leads back to what I was saying before, Daniel, because it says it right here in the article. You know, these guys would have been, you know, could have possibly been the golden challengers to the Guns N' Roses empire, or at least followed in on,
right,
you know, on their coattails, if it hadn't been for their even more self-destructive behavior.
Yeah,
so, see what happens?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, you can't have sex, drugs, and rock and roll without the drugs or the sex or the rock and roll. So
Well, but somehow Guns N' Roses made it through all the sex and the drugs.
Okay, but like when you watch Live at the Ritz, that's literally like a band going at 200 miles an hour with the wheels falling off the bus. Like that is a band that thrived on being at the edge of self-destruction their entire young career. It was amazing. That's what made the band the band. It's wild that they're alive, man. It's amazing.
Right, and another band, Jennifer. Like you would not listen to this band if I tell you the name of it, and I did, and I ignored these guys back in the day, they made another list somewhere else, and I said, all right, let me give these guys another shot. 30 years later,
okay,
Cats in Boots. I mean,
oh my gosh, that sounds right up my alley. I'm the crazy cat lady, so that's.
But as a rock
brand.
band, it does. Yeah, it sounds like a band a crazy cat lady would listen to. But this album that they called
Where are the cats?
Called Kicked and Clawed, both with K's, which is again is just a complete turnoff to anyone who wants to be taken seriously.
Oh, I love it.
But this album is legitimately really good.
This is like a better version of Josie and the Pussycats. You know what I mean? That's it. Right? Am I wrong?
Well,
see, I love it. This is angry girl rock to me.
Like I'm an imaginary band, so
I'm into it.
Jennifer still thinks Josie and the Pussycats are real.
I know, I do. Don't ruin the fairy tale for me.
I won't. You should have them on your podcast.
I should. I'm also wondering how can you have?
I know their agent.
How can you have a band name like this and not have cats in the music video? Like, where are the cats?
It's the only obvious thing they didn't do.
Jennifer, there's a cat in the video. Have you not noticed?
Oh.
She's holding a shotgun. There she is.
Oh, I got it.
Being a little.
I got it. Okay.
Those Canadians can be naughty.
Okay.
They seem friendly on the outside, but they're kicking and clawing on the inside.
Big words, though. We use big words.
But do you remember this album, Daniel?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, the name, though. Like, you're just, as you said, setting yourself up for failure, calling your album Kicked and Clawed, both with K's.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Are Cats in Boots?
Cats in Boots.
Kind of like Puss in Boots.
Right.
Cats in Boots.
But Puss in Boots.
That down.
They must have done a what do they call those? Focus group test, and so the word puss is it's no good.
Well, Puss in Boots is from Shrek. Come on, everyone knows that.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
come on,
man. Come on, Don.
I've never masturbated to Shrek.
I'll send you the porn parody. It's good.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Who said anything about okay? All right.
Yeah, that band was like on EMI and had not a ton of huge North American success, but the band was half Japanese. They are huge in Japan. They did like a Japanese reunion tour, Cats in Boots. So there is hope for seeing Cats in Boots live maybe one day in Japan.
That's hilarious.
I smell Road
huge
Trip.
In Japan.
A band that I was late to the party, but I know that Daniel adores and loves. He and his bandmate Priya do legitimately maybe the two biggest bands of this band, Vayne, Vain, Vayne,
baby,
who probably are the best of all the bands on this list. I would arguably.
Far. What do you mean bands that should have been huge? This is the biggest band in the world. Relax. This band's fucking massive.
Whoa.
Sausalito, California's finest.
So, obviously achieved cult status. Daniel, why did this band never get huge? Explain.
That's actually a great question. And they're not a one album wonder. They have an incredible discography. The songwriting's brilliant. The vocal style is so interesting and grabs you. Like, it's musically, it's all there. Image-wise, it was all there. I have no fucking idea why this band didn't become the next goddamn Metallica. They are the best band in the world. They shouldn't be on this list because in my mind, they are the number one band of all time.
Yeah, they're bigger than Metallica to Daniel.
Way bigger than Metallica, man. You kidding me? James Hetfield's opening for Davey Vayne every night.
You know what? because now, having not seen them until, when did we see them on the Monsters Cruise? 2018?
18, yeah.
So now, they're a little older, a little less of the flashy image. Then you could really focus on the tunes.
Right.
And that's when I went, wow, they really do have great tunes.
You're not focusing on the mohawk or the cat.
By all
exactly.
This. Yeah.
No, their sound is really good. I actually agree with Daniel. This is a great
and you
band.
know what? Their first album, like, for what it's worth, like, their first album is beyond cult classic. Like, anyone who's into the genre loves Vayne's No Respect. Maybe they're not familiar with the rest of the catalog, which is equally as badass. But, like, their first record is 100% achieved cult classic status. It's flawless. It's literally a flawless debut record.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the next one. I've had this singer of this next band on the show, Jizzy Pearl, and the band, of course, is Love Hate from Los Angeles. And, back in the day, Jizzy Pearl climbed up on the Hollywood sign and crucified himself on there as a publicity stunt. They were, they're a band that combined metal, funk, punk, pop. The Blackout in the Red Room is their debut album, probably, still their best. They did an album after that called Wasted in America, which is very good. Jizzy still does the band to this day with a completely different lineup. He's also the singer in Quiet Riot now. So, I would, in my opinion, again, I think they're a band that they almost had too many influences going on. They didn't fit quite into a box. They had a bass player who played slap bass, so they had the funk, but yet I think people were confused by these guys. They were heavy, but they were kind of trippy too.
I don't think they could ever live up, to be honest, I don't think they ever lived up to the hype that was Blackout in the Red Room. That debut record is very, very fucking good. You're right about the influences all over the place, but that's the direction that, it was already 90, that's the direction music was heading, as shit was getting weirder.
Cool riff there, right?
Yes.
Dude,
What's the name of this one?
They were on
What's the
tour
name of
with
the song?
Ozzy. They went on tour with Skid Row. They had like every opportunity to take over the world. It's a shame it didn't happen for these guys. Love Jizzy, love the band.
Yeah, Blackout in the Red Room. This is the title track from that album. Again, another band where I always say the name always tripped me up. Spread Eagle, from which I didn't know. Spread Eagle is from. Were they from Boston?
No, they're from New York.
Are they New York? Okay, they're a New York band.
I'm not wrong, but I know Rob's from New York. I just assumed the band's from New York. I think gotta be from New York. Come on.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So Rob DeLuca, who plays bass in UFO for many, many years now, he was in this band Spread Eagle, and this is again another band that I just discovered much later. Once I got past the name, and I went, yeah, you know what? They're pretty good.
After you got past the name, though.
Yeah, like in the early 2000s. It took me a while.
I mean, it's a better name than fucking Cats and Boots or Pretty Boy
come
Floyd or
on.
something.
It says here in the article they're from Boston, but regardless,
Yeah, I'm wrong.
But they did do a reunion right before the COVID good times, and I think that kind of got derailed. But they're definitely better than what you would think, but I don't see them being on this list as should have been huge.
Maybe not should have been huge, but I will say the hot track on this album is Switchblade Serenade. It's like a really good track, and we played with them actually. Diemonds played with Spread Eagle in the UK in 2017. They did like a one-off type hair metal big festival, get the original lineup back together for a one-off type show, and they fucking brought it. They were amazing. They're really, really good. All right,
all right, we're moving on in the interest of time here, because this band, despite all the money and means injected by Geffen Records, Roxy Blue, who I only am hearing about for the first time reading this article, do you have any insight on this band, Roxy Blue, Daniel?
I know that like Jamie Lane kind of fanboyed them a lot. Jamie Lane was did everything in his power to help this band get signed. I know the record's produced by Mike Klink. Again, Geffen injecting all that Guns N' Roses money, baby, just trying to make everyone the next big thing. But yeah, I never ever really vibed with this band at all. To be honest, I was shocked to see Want Some on the list. Yeah, Roxy Blue, Want Some.
I think
I kind of like him. I know. Daniel, we've been in sync ever since Cats and Boots, man. It's just that we
this might be,
parted ways.
This might be Jennifer's Vayne. So Roxy Blue, yeah, just who knows? Lost in the shuffle, and then a band. You know, listen, this next band definitely deserves to be on the list. Hanoi Rocks. There would be no Guns N' Roses without Hanoi Rocks. I mean, if you watch Axl's stage moves, if you listen to some of his vocal tics, they've come from the great Michael Monroe of Hanoi Rocks. Michael Monroe's still making great music. He's been on this show a couple of times. What a band.
One of the best ever. Without a doubt. Rest in peace, Razzle.
Yeah, Jennifer, so you might... This band might come on your radar as the band. Unfortunately, their drummer was the one killed by Vince Neil from Motley Crue in that car accident.
Yep.
When they went on a beer run. And out of the ashes, Hanoi Rocks has made a couple of reunions over the years, but their single Michael Monroe, I cannot highly suggest more to you. Michael Monroe.
Okay.
Straight ahead, kick-ass hard rock music with a bit of a punk edge. What they say in the article, you know, the underground David Johansen meets Iggy Pop, Peroxide, Godfather.
Godfather.
He really is, and now his live show now is insane. Comes out with the harmonica, the guitar, the fucking scarves on the mic stand. Like, he really puts on the show still to this day. Kills it. Go see Michael Monroe now.
Yeah, I saw Michael at the Whiskey probably about 4 years ago. The only guy that can make saxophone sound cool in a rock song.
Love it.
So Hanoi Rocks, definitely the number one on the list for me. You know, should have been huge, but in a sense they were because of their influence on bands that eventually did become huge, and none bigger than Guns N' Roses. So there you go, great insight from the fantastic Daniel Dekay. You're the only guy I could think of to come in and do this with me, so I appreciate it.
Can I sneak in my picks for the ones that should have been on the list?
Go ahead, of course.
Law and Order from Jersey.
Yeah, from New York, from Brooklyn.
Great, what a great name.
Guilty of Innocence. Fucking fantastic record.
Brilliant album. Yes.
Night Ranger should have been fucking huge. Leather Wolf should have been fucking huge. Tora should have been fucking huge. Dirty Look should have been fucking huge. Killer Dwarf should have been fucking huge. Wildside should have been fucking huge. There you go.
There's at least three that I caught that I agree 100% with. And the only reason Law and Order I think didn't make it is because their drummer got drunk and crashed his car through the front window of a bank in Brooklyn. So I think that set them back a little. Self-destructive. But this,
hey, it's the theme.
It is the theme, but the one guy who's not self-destructive, God bless, he's a working musician, and I love him, Daniel Dekay. What, you got anything to plug? Banger Films, New Exciter, what's going on?
Listen, lots of stuff coming up. Banger, I'm on Banger Films, Banger TV on YouTube. Yeah, New Exciter record and tour dates announced. Check all that shit on Blabbermouth or wherever you consume that garbage. And check out my Twitch channel, man. I literally stream from this chair 4 times a week on Twitch, playing my own band songs, other band songs, drinking beer, having a great time. Twitch.tv/Daniel_DK.
That's awesome.
All right, thank you, my brother. Until next time.
Don and Jennifer, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging. We'll catch you soon.
You got it, brother.
Daniel.
See you later, man. There you go. See, I knew I could. That's the
cool
guy I needed in to do this today.